The Democrats are they still want to turn America into a socialist, i.e., communist state. But they're in a bind because they're behind, but they're not willing to make a deal. Oh, I thought I had it muted. America into a. So, my friends, we're going to see some high shenanigans in a very short time because here's the deal. There's a big demographic change coming in America, which is going to potentially rob them of a bunch of seats in Congress and of a whole lot of the electoral vote in 2030. So after 2030, their prospects get diminishingly small. So they're going to throw everything they can into the midterms and into the election in 2028. So 2026 and 2028 is their last best gambit to pull off whatever they want to pull off. And they're getting desperate. They're going to try things that are scary. I did a video, actually recorded it Sunday and uploaded it Monday. And now we're in the wee hours of Tuesday, which is still Monday to me. But anyway, now we want to look at this. We want to look at what this means and what they might actually do and what they're planning to do for Trump followers. I've talked about that in the past here. And a lot of people just don't quite realize the gravity of what's coming at us. I'm trying to pull up the chat room here, guys. Give me a second. So, well, what the heck? Hit the renew button on this thing. So, what we're looking at is they have made threats that they're going to basically try Trump and all the MAGA leaders and go after MAGA supporters. And there's been various articles on this. I'll show you one in particular, but there's stuff that goes way back that talks about this. Some of you may recall back when Trump was running for re-election last time, or maybe in his first election attempt, there were people out there who were trying to look up the donor list of everybody that donated to Trump. They wanted to dox all these people and list them on a public website with the hopes that people would actually attack donors to President Trump's campaign. Fortunately, somewhere that ran into a logjam. It didn't come to full fruition, but they'd love nothing better than that if they could pull it off. At least their members. I'm not saying all the Democrats would do this, but there are certain people on that side of the spectrum, on the extreme side, who definitely harbor those kind of dreams and ideas. There have been videos of them planning that got released way back then. I don't know, some of you people may recall that. So I just want to point that out. So what are they going to do? What are they going to try to pull? Well, they're facing some issues. They're facing some problems, and that some of a lot of the funding that the Democrats have been relying on came through taxpayer money funneled through NGOs and then back into their purses. A lot of that funding has been cut. A lot of their funding came through a lot of the graft and corruption that's been going on in states like Minnesota, California. As we know, there's suddenly a whole new expose on these hospice care situations, where in California has like 30 times more hospice care, some crazy number, than Florida, which has 100,000 more people that are elderly. So there's just a lot of strange things going on. There's a lot of money that has been unaccounted for, like one doctor billing $120 million. And some of these, a lot of these hospice care centers, like several of them are like in one little building with no signage or anything. So it's kind of like the Lear-In centers, if you know what I'm talking about, that were found in Minnesota. So there's some high strangeness going on here, and it's all coming to the reveal. It's all coming to the forefront for what is going on there. And I'll get to the chat room here in a second in terms of details. I'm monitoring just in case someone throws in the super chat or something. Yeah, USAID, tons of these things, guys. So they're finding some of their funding sources short. So this is why one of the reasons they're trying to throw such negative light and dispersion on conservatives, trying to paint everybody with that N-word I was talking about in my previous N-word video, that N-word that ends with Ozzy, Ozzy, and I'm not talking about Ozzy Osbourne, as I mentioned in that last video. So this is, and they're using that word, the F word, that ends with assiest, if you know what I mean. So they are throwing these allegations around a lot. Now, what's that do? Those words are loaded. Those words are dangerous because it's considered politically acceptable in certain circles. If somebody's one of them, that they're an enemy to be taken out. That is one of the worst things that can be, to us, it may be something they're just rubbish. They're not paying attention, but you don't understand what those words mean. They're loaded. Those words are loaded words that are very dangerous. And that's why I said in a previous video that I did recorded out in my property out here that, we need to take into account what they're saying and then point out to them, no, this is not the same. It doesn't equivalent. And I explained that in that video, so you can go see the video uploaded last and review that if you need some words to use to understand what's being faced here. I'm not advocating anything but education. I do not advocate violence. I think that we put the truth out there. That's good enough. Because what we've got to get some people on the margins in the middle who have been swayed by everything they're seeing on the news media. And the news media is not showing the whole story. The news media is only showing what's on the ground. They're not showing why that came about. They're not showing you all the mayhem that the illegal aliens have brought into this country. And I'm not talking about immigrants in general. I'm talking about those that crossed illegally, and in particularly they're going after the gang members and the people who have committed crimes. And particularly, my biggest concern is sleeper cell agents, because we had a wide open border and just anybody and everybody that wanted to basically come across. And that was a scary thing. That should have never been permitted. And now we're paying the price for it. And now we're getting blowback from them because taking these people out is reducing the number of people they get to count in their census to add electoral votes to their states and to also add congressmen. So they're trying to count these people, and they're hoping some of them will vote. So there's a whole lot at stake here. There's a whole lot at stake, and they're going to pull everything they possibly can in these next few years to try to regain the House and the Senate. And a lot of it is just they're trying to throw a lot of negative stuff on the Republicans just to enable them to do that. And that's what the news media is carrying heavy water for. But like I said, you're only seeing a slice of the optics, and it makes it look really bad. And, the optics are bad in that regard. So Trump is trying to dial that down a little bit now, but you might say the damage has been done in some regard. But still, we've got to get the gang members out of this country. We've got to get sleeper cell agents out of this country. They are a threat to our community, to our nation. And you just look at, we've lost 100,000 lives per year to fentanyl. There's been something like 4,500 cases of women who are now pushing daisies because of some of these people of question, and just on and on and on and on. Not to mention billions and billions and billions of dollars stolen from taxpayer money, from the United States taxpayers, your pocket, breaking Medicaid in California. All that, a lot of that money comes right out of Medicaid. Medicaid is in a hard spot economically, and a lot of us in my age group, and some of you are about to hit it, really don't want to see the Medicaid busted because of illegal graft and corruption that has been permitted in liberal states where they have sanctuary cities, and a lot of it is being done by, guess what? Those who weren't supposed to be here. So this is but they also filter some of that money back to those that protect them, if you know what I mean. Those politicians who want to get their numbers up. So it's a game over there, and now they're huffing mad because they're losing more and more margin, and so they are on the attack in more ways than one. So I just wanted to point that out and paint what it really is so that people could see and understand what we're dealing with. Now, All this graft and corruption, seriously, billions and billions and billions of dollars, for all this we've heard about in uh, Minnesota, it's much worse in California. Matter of fact, Governor Hobbs here in Arizona is also being caught putting money into a similar operation here in this state. $4 million going to somebody that gave her a 400,000, the $4 million a year going to somebody that gave her a $4,000 $400,000 campaign contribution. Interesting, right? So you can see how that stuff works. You can see how it works. And it's just over and over. Now, it's not all Democrats that got playing in this game. I understand that some of the Republican officials in Ohio have also kind of fallen into this trap of somehow how the illegal aliens get away with this stuff. Some people just look the other way and they let them do pretty much whatever they want to do. But they do kick it back. Now, in case here in Arizona, I think it was just a regular company that had a contract and they were claiming they were making big losses, and it turns out the audit says they weren't. But what was their gig? I'm getting forgetful on this one, but they had it was one of these government sponsored functions carried out by a company, healthcare related. So anyway, it's all smelling the same way, but it's all graft and corruption, taking your tax money and enriching people who aren't providing the services they're claiming, breaking the systems that these people claim they're supporting. The left always says, "Oh, we're the people that want to take care of people," blah 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 blah. They set up all these programs, and that money goes elsewhere. There's some questions about a fund that Chelsea of the Clinton dynasty had going on with regards to Haiti. And she raised a big amount of money, and some people claim it was zip went down to those people they claimed they were servicing. Is there any surprise to that? This is on and on and on. That's why they threw such a gigantic hissy fit when DOGE went into effect. They were throwing all kind of aspersion. They started attacking because DOGE was run by Elon. They started attacking Tesla dealerships and people that drove Teslas. And most people that drove Teslas were the wrong people. They conned into buying EVs. So it's kind of crazy. They'll eat their own. They have no loyalty even to their own people. Their own. So it's really strange what they will do to accomplish what they want to. It's just evil. It's just like they burned down their own cities in Minnesota back during the George Floyd incidences. Let's just call it that. So, burning down their own cities. They're You got to question their brightness about all that. But that was the only place they were going to be allowed to do that kind of stuff, probably. Go into the red states and try that. There were some protesters who wanted to show up in Huntsville, Alabama, and the mayor put a quash and put a containment on what they could get away with real fast. He allowed them to march, and hope their signs and chant their slogans, but they weren't allowed to do all the other stuff they might have wanted to do otherwise. So interesting. We have the police were all over that. They were not going to pull that off in Huntsville, Alabama, with a Republican mayor. So, yeah, I went to those. I went to that event. Yeah, I think I put it on Green Greg's channel. So, in any event, the thing to keep in mind here is that a lot's going down. A lot's about to happen. It's going to get interesting politically here in this country, and there could be a lot of mayhem and consternation around that. And this is what you need to prep for. It's what you need to pray for. But we need to try to put out the message that a lot of the things they're saying is not what they claim it is. I'm not saying everything's great and wonderful, but it's not what they're claiming. And they're using that to turn it as a weapon against all of us. And so that has got to be watched. I know because I do verbal combat or posting combat with these people on Facebook all the time. And some of you that know me, if you're in my Facebook page, you'll see the off the wall replies to some of my posts. It's crazy, but some of these people really believe this stuff, and some of them are so far over that Yeah, it's, they're lost. But I get a few of them that, I can get around to a little bit. I say, hey, look, and they're more negotiable, that will discuss things. But it's really the people that are watching in silence that we can reach out to, the ones who are going, what is all this? And, even, people, a lot of conservatives have looked at what's going on in Minneapolis, and, they've got turned off by the whole affair, and I can understand why. But like I said, you're only seeing a piece of the optics. You're just seeing a slice of it. And so that's what you need to focus on. I want to share some articles here real quick. We're going to call it a night real quick. We're not going to be here all night tonight. I have no financial accounts connected to this. Or I would do a super chat. Oh, hey, thanks, Paula. You can actually go to greengregs.com. Somehow they migrated my website and somehow it pulled up my old website and all my page links aren't on there. They kind of messed it up. I had put a button on the homepage that was called donate. Now it's buy worms. But if you click that button, it'll take you to the page where I used to sell worms. You just scroll down to the donate button. You can do it that way. Um, that's another way you can give a donation. You'd have to use a credit card there, but that's one way to do it. Anyway, all that said, I appreciate your support, um, Paula Knotts. Paula Nitz, excuse me. Good to know somebody's still knitting, but we need that. Uh, so yeah, well, I'm a little late for New Day. She works daytimes now. So she's not in for these night videos as much. She was on my video. I did a premiere of the video today or Monday now that I recorded on Sunday. But anyway, so I'm going to share some articles here real quick, and I will check my phone after a while to see somebody, because if you get on my website, I'll get an email notification of that. Alrighty, guys. So I'm going to do a quick article scan through here. And let's see, ding, ding, ding. I think this is where we want to go. Yeah. Top liberals anticipate prosecution and humiliation of Trump and his MAGA allies when Dems regain power. There was another article I saw earlier where they were going to where one's claiming they're going to try Trump and, try to sentence him to Bush daisies, let's put it that way. I got to be careful what I say on there, but they want to try him and basically terminate him. These people are they're what they want to do is horrendous, and that's why I say this is because of the language that's been allowed to flow around. That's why this language is dangerous. They weaponized it. And if you're not on their side, you don't really get the full gravity, and even some of them don't get the full gravity of what the ones that's farthest over on that side really talk about. But there have been articles on that too. So, but here it is. This is an article explaining this to some degree. Liberal politicians and podcasters among Trump and allies be prosecuted when the Dems get back in power. So Democratic officials, TikTokers, liberals take their anti-ICE rhetoric to the next level. Uh-huh. But some of these articles and some of these people, they've been saying, and some of them are government officials in some states, they're saying, hey, they're going to put them in trial and they're going to sentence them capital punishment. That's what they're talking about, if you know what I mean. So termination. So I'm not making this stuff up, guys. If you want to search for all that stuff, I don't show every article in the world. Democrats crush Republicans in race for Congress in Texas, of all things. So they might have a little bit of momentum right now. And so the fact that they took a district that had voted for Trump in Texas is an indicator that they may be onto something here for the 2026 and 2028 elections. They may have an edge. And there's when all this stuff could go south. And here's the other thing you got to bet. If they should take enough of Congress in 2026 and 2028, between those 2 years, their dream is to suddenly appoint a slew of people, liberal people, to the Supreme Court to drown out the current conservative voices there, to completely change the Supreme Court for years and years to come. So you could bet they'd be ruling against your freedom to arm bears, a lot of your freedom of speech stuff, and Lord knows what else they would allow to happen if they take the Supreme Court. No niche in this episode, be aware of the mindset. What I'm trying to do here, guys, there may be some neutral ground, but what I'm trying to do is tell you what some of them want to do and the dangers associated with it. What I'm trying to do is tell you what a lot of the rhetoric they put out means. And so all I'm asking you guys to do is to be aware of it and counter that rhetoric. Because that rhetoric is the weapon that gives them the forte to do things that are not pretty down the road. That's what I'm talking about. So even if you're a Democrat, I would hope that you would understand what I'm saying. Uh, a pretext to rig the election, excuse me. So for some reason, Democrats don't want ICE crackdowns on their polling sites. I mean, how else can illegals vote? If you got ICE there, the illegals are not going to show up to vote, right? Hey, New Days is in the house. Wow, girl, what are you doing up so late? You ought to be pushing, you ought to be sawing logs, girl. Good to see you. Somebody was just asking for you. They must have summoned you from your slumber. I hope you were sleeping. So it's early morning where you're at. Yeah, they were saying, well, I wish New Days was in here to post links. you know, anyway, yeah, if you can go up, scroll up the chat, you'll see that. There you go. Yeah, I think it was Stray Kitten that said that. I'm not sure, but anyway, good to see you. So this is, this when I did my premiere of the other video that I promised I'd come live and kind of finish the story because that video was only 10 minutes long. And some people complained that the discussion time was short. So I'm trying to make up for that. Oh, by the way, silver and gold. Yeah, they dipped. They dipped. What happened is there were a lot of, but we're going to come back to the other story, but I'm going to hit this real quick. A lot of people want to know what's going on there. The banks had a lot of notes on silver where they basically were obligated to be able to supply silver at a price far below what the market was selling at. They were looking at losing hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. So there were some games pulled behind the closed doors that brought silver down quite dramatically, maybe about 25% last Friday. And I think it was already one bank. If you watch Steve Poplar's, he called out the bank that's already crashing. One bank's already crashing, and others may be soon to follow. And so some people say maybe you need to get your money out of banks right now, but and maybe that's the quick answer to all this. But the fundamentals that drove silver up in the first place still exist. Same for gold, and some people are forecasting they're going to go way higher. In fact, it's been said that silver is still trading for like $160 a troy ounce overseas. So in fact, this is called a 10 sigma event. That it went down so much so fast, and a 10 sigma event it just don't happen. So it's thought that yeah, this was a heavy hand manipulation. So, but now just kind of go with it. Trump is talking about making the dollar weaker. And that sounds bad. That is inflationary. It would tend to put gold and silver on an upward trajectory again. But why are they wanting to make the dollar weaker? It's the same reason China made yuan weaker. It's to be able to increase manufacturing and exports. So, by bringing the dollar down, it makes American goods cheaper and makes it easier to export American goods and should help build up manufacturing, especially in context and concert with uh, the tariffs that he's put out there. So if you look at all that, that might have an impact on helping us to reindustrialize. We have to be able to reindustrialize just to face adversaries such as China. Even if you don't want to face them, peace through strength. When you got other powers in the world like China and Russia, you have to maintain peace, and they only respect strength. The same way for a lot of other potential adversaries. So this is a Hamilton move. I was never a big fan of Hamilton, but yeah, this is a move here we're seeing playing out. That if he does devaluate the dollar, you can expect gold to go up again. Who's going to hurt if you're you think this would be very inflationary, but they're taking other steps that should bring housing prices down, including taking, all these illegal immigrants really brought, it was hard to house them all, and that drove housing prices up a lot. A lot of people think housing prices are going to drop a quarter because of it, so might make it easier to buy houses, and that's part of why they're trying to bring interest rates down, so the housing market can flourish again, and so that people can afford houses. But the dollar is going to be worth less. Hopefully, people will make more to offset that. But if you're living on a fixed income, that's going to hurt. If you've got a lot of debt, credit card debt or something like that, if the interest rates aren't going up, that can help a lot. And Trump's also trying to put a cap on what credit cards can charge for interest rates. So this could help to absorb or offset some of the debt you carry. It could help mainly with the national debt. Both the actions of weakening the dollar and also bringing down interest rates. We just got a new Fed chairman. Should make it easier to pay on the debt we have as a nation. I said that was one of the two ways on one of my videos on Green Greg's about talking about that all this economic malaise we're facing that could help kick the can a little further down the road. I do think this road only runs so far. I think that we're on a train heading down the tracks, and I think the bridge is out. Maybe it moved the bridge a little further away. But there are things, if we could really significantly grow our economy and grow our tax base, then that's another way out of this malaise. So growing our industry is not a bad way to do it. So there's some gains to be got in this, but no gain comes without pain. And it's going to help in one place, it's going to hurt in another. The question is on the overall balance sheet, what's going to be the best for the country? So regardless of all that, knowing that these kind of things are coming helps you to prepare and figure out where you're going to put your finances, what you're going to do with your money. Holding physical objects is always better than holding paper fiat money, because that money will depreciate in value in the bank. And you got this stuff going on, you can expect that to happen a lot. That's one reason I'd suggest people want to consider buying gold and silver. Right now, the price being down a bit, and like I said, the fundamentals for price inflation on these is still there. So you could expect it may go up quite a bit from here. A lot of people are forecasting that. But right now, gold is back down. At one time it was what, 5,400, maybe $5,500 per troy ounce. Now it's 49, and silver is running 86. It was over 100 per troy ounce. So they're back basically where they were a few weeks ago. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them go way past what they were. But hey, I'm not Nostradamus. I'm not a financial Nostradamus. What I do is I look at trends, and trends you can forecast in the future. And that's something a rocket scientist can do. But my crystal ball is pretty murky. So a lot of things can happen. But so I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just talking about things you might want to consider. All right. Past performance is no indicator of future performance. That's always one of the disclaimers to be made. Now, what Dems do when they run for office is they tell us typically they're going to be moderate. Oh yeah, we're going to be moderate. We're just going to make a little change here and there. And so, in the state of Virginia that had a Republican governor, they just got a Democrat governor, and apparently the Democrats have swept into the legislature again. And suddenly they're making huge changes, way beyond what they promised. They're putting out a slew of restrictive gun control measures. They're trying to ban what they call assault weapons, and just all kinds gun control measures. And this article, I can't see it. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about the Democrat extremist begins. Oh, shit. I guess I'm not going to be able to look at that article. But anyway, they're making changes in taxes and all kinds of things in Virginia, not what the people thought they were getting. And so that's just something you got to pay a lot of attention to. When these guys run for office, they'll promise one thing and deliver another. Paula wants you to look for Russian. Paula wants you to look for Russians. Anyway, so blue state depression. Now, this is what I'm talking about. The demographics for 2030, after 2030, look really bad for the Democrats. There's several articles on that. So I would suggest they're going to try everything they can. They're going to pull out every stop between now and then to try to change things. They may change laws. They may reopen the borders bigger than ever and let a bunch of people back in again. Whatever they can do to regain the system. Will it be, changing things at the ballot? Whatever, I don't know. But nothing would surprise me now. Nothing would surprise me. Agents were pursuing, yeah, what was happening in Minneapolis when this guy uh, met his demise? They were out there blowing whistles and horns. The anti-ICE protesters, and I use the word protester loosely here, um, but agents were pursuing an immigrant at that time who was this guy, Jose Herreto Chama, who had been accused of crimes. I think it was like child abuse or something. Anyway, these are not good people that they're pursuing. What happens in these blue states, supposedly in states when they capture an illegal immigrant as a criminal and put them in jail, they're supposed to notify the feds and then turn them over to the feds. But the sanctuary cities turn them loose. In fact, they often turn them loose early. Okay, we got you. Okay, you're an illegal, and well, we'll just let you go. We're not going to notify the feds. And that's why the feds are hunting through the streets to find these people. They know they're there. They know they committed crimes, and that's who they're hunting. But you don't hear this in the news media. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I've been hearing some stuff about Maine new days. Uh, Everyone has ties to the CCP. Well, so does Newsom, who wants to run for president. Boy, he's got some new graft there. Maybe that'll knock him out of. Minnesota ICE activists get $3.3 million of Soros-backed charity you never heard. Well, I think we've heard of the Tides Foundation. That's what we're talking about here. The Tides Foundation has been involved in it. Oh, yeah, Open Societies Foundation, Soros' family's Open Societies Foundation. These are some of the groups that have been doing this. We know Roy Singman has been sending money from China over there. So liberal, felon, yeah, liberal nonprofits. Oh, yeah, that's one of the things. A lot of these groups have been donating to nonprofit, supposedly charitable organizations, but that money that's going to these so-called charitable organizations is going into things like this, and also campaign coffers. Democrats. And that's why I said they're looking at losing some of their sources of revenue. So I don't know how they're going to make up for it, but I'm sure they got some game or angle to it. These are criminals, not protesters. Yeah, well, they're actually impeding law enforcement. That's a crime. Not debate, not a peaceful assembly. You're permitted for peaceful assembly. Everybody is, but these guys are turning violent. That's the problem. So just various actions occurred in LA there. I'm not going to read the article. I'm going to copy strike right, throw my words around on purpose here. Uh, Masked agitators mob female reporter during one of those anti-ICE events. So yeah, they talk about freedom of speech and then press and oh, we're just exercising our freedom of press, but then they go out and do that kind of stuff. And that's not the first time. If you go there with the camera and you're not one of them, they will definitely try to shut you down. There's been a lot of YouTubers have shown that to be the case. And now here there's this professor who who is pro Gaza but anti Tehran protester. These for the Ayatollahs, and he's just trying to throw dispersions on what's going on with the people in Iran, claiming, well, this is just all Mossad sponsored, U.S. sponsored. Oh, no, no way, no way. And they've lost so many lives over there. That's just ridiculous. But what they're trying to do, well, I say, why is it that the left don't care about the people in Iran when you got 30, maybe 50,000 of them who lost their lives over that stuff? So, and here's an asylum seeker who laughed and danced after doing an asylum seeker. Oh, yeah. Aren't they supposed to be special? Yeah, took a hotel worker's life. this lady here, that guy did it, and he was celebrating. Well, he got arrested. But these are the kind of people. There's just constant barrage of these articles. Um, Antifa doesn't need funding. Yeah, but they're being coordinated, apparently. It's not just Antifa. And a lot of them are being bussed in. So there's some oddball things going on. Yeah, a lot of people are out there on their own, absolutely. But a lot of them are using SignalNet, and a lot of that SignalNet activities has been shown to be funded by Roy Singham. So that's why they got foreign funding, uh, insurrectionist activities, which were aided and embedded by the state in Minnesota, including the deputy AG. Yeah, all the signals, they got all that. The feds found all the data. They got the receipts. It happened. It's not debatable. They've got the data. It proves it. It's done. It's a done deal. Um, the governor of Minnesota, Walz, caved and suddenly sent his law enforcement out to support ICE, and he arrested a lot of anti-ICE people because he was showing the receipts. He knew that he was in deep, serious legal trouble. It's like, dude, you want to go to jail for life? I mean, some of that stuff, treason is punishable by capital punishment. So they got the receipts on him, and he changed tune real fast. And suddenly he said, "Oh, I'm not going to run for political office ever again." Well, he couldn't. So, like I said, the news media is not telling you guys everything. The news media is only bringing you one side of this stuff. So if you're relying on the news media, you're only getting you're getting that little spectrum they want you to see. Now, here's the oddball thing. So California voters know that their wealth tax is running off the golden goose, the ones that they've been getting so much of the revenue for. And yet they're so stuck on wanting to stick it to the rich guy, which is really envy and covet, that they're willing to run them off, still to stick it to them as much as they can. Well, they're going to get less revenue out of that, and they know that. They're actually going to get less tax money, but they're so imbued with the philosophy they got that that don't even make sense walking around because they're going to get less revenue because these people are leaving. So, let's kill the goose that laid the golden egg, because we hate that goose. There's no logic. It's all emotion, and emotion is fueled by fanning the flames of stuff in the media. They react emotionally, not logically. If you really want to increase the revenues, there's better ways to do it. So, and here's a call. This article is calling for prosecuting people who push surgeries on young people, minors. Yeah, who try to convince them, oh, you need a surgery. We need to cut you up and change who you are. You can't really change who somebody is. But, somebody's calling for major prosecutions on that now, going after the surgeons and maybe the people in the school. Um, See, that's interesting. Hey, and here's what you got to be situation aware. I'm always telling you guys that. Here's a case where somebody went out and was answering an ad on Craigslist or somewhere, and thought they were going to buy a puppy. They're going to buy a puppy. Sounds pretty innocuous. Sounds pretty innocent, like a sweet thing to do. But this woman had nugs fired at her. She's trapped in her car, and they burned her. She is no longer existing. And these three people there set her up. So, you just think you're going to buy a puppy, something, everyday kind of stuff. It should be nothing to even think twice about. And then some people on the other side may have ill will in their hearts. So this is why I'll tell you guys, always be situationally aware. That's the message I'm trying to get you out of that. I always warn you guys that our society is getting less and less stable, and you got to have your eyes wide open and head on a swivel and be ready, prepared to defend yourself or get the heck out of Dodge in a second's notice. So, yeah. You better be paying attention to warning signs. There was probably a warning sign the way those people acted toward her when they came up. I don't know, they might have walked up to her all nice as my, hi, how you doing? Bang, bang, bang. You don't know. That's the way pure evil comes across like a sheep, and then it devours you because there's a wolf inside. But you thought it was a sheep. Pay close attention. And you need to go with your gut instincts a lot too. Because sometimes, I do believe that, your gut instincts, the greater creator is trying to tell you something. A lot of times you're not paying attention. So pay a lot of attention to your gut instincts. And for all these people who think this is the way to go here, just know that they like slavery and suppressing women and girls. They've done this over and over worldwide. And yet the people that claim to be feminists, seem to be very open to this stuff. So anyway, there's some craziness that you got to pay attention to. We don't need Sharia law in America. Now here's just a funny tidbit, and I just put it out there for that. Do you realize a science fiction show declared that 2026 will be the end of the world? World War III. Guess what show it was? It's the Star Trek series. According to the Star Trek lore, 2026 is when World War III begins. Oddball thing is, it might well do it. It really looks plausible. Yikes. Did they know something? How did they come up with 2026? I think back in the original series, they had 1992 to 1996, but they adjusted that, later because they realized that time had already passed. But now, why did they pick this year? There's a time frame so close on the horizon when that franchise is still running hard. Interesting. Let's hope that they're wrong. Hope and pray. But Lord, a lot of us are already worried about that. Now, here's an interesting thing. San Francisco hit with multiple earthquakes just as people are arriving for the Super Bowl. There's a Super Bowl this week. I don't keep up with that stuff. I guess it's coming up this weekend. Guys, I wouldn't be surprised during the heinous halftime show if the whole San Andreas fault don't just give loose. Lord, yeah, that halftime show has gotten so decrepit at the NFL. I would not watch any game of the NFL. I boycott them completely. I never was a big sports fan for that stuff in the first place, but I used to occasionally watch it just to see what the commercials were. But no, I would not give them a time of day now. They're definitely of the House of Klaus ilk. So it wouldn't surprise me that just to see the whole place just rip apart at that point in time. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I just said it wouldn't surprise me. Maybe that's the time of judgment. Okay, here they are in their most heinous act in this spot. Bang. I wouldn't be there. Let me put it that way. I wouldn't want to be there. Of course, I wouldn't want to be here anyway, especially in this time frame. So just keep an eye out, people. If you're anywhere near the coast, the left coast, always keep your eye out for anything that suggests a tsunami might be coming if you're up in the northwest or near the Cascadia subduction zone. And LA area, if you're in LA is in a bowl. And if you get the big earthquake hits, all those big highways that are multi-level are going to fall down. The bridges are going to fall down. The only way out of that bowl would be through the airport, which could have the runways cracked, or ports at sea. It's going to be a big city full of hungry people with nothing to feed them after a couple of days. 20, almost 20 million hungry people. I would not want to be there. I would not want to be in San Francisco. So just think about those things. But here's the earthquake. Now look at this right now, the freshest one. Pretty close to San Francisco, San Raymond. Let's dial in. Look, Alaska's got quite a few. Puerto Ricans are having a good time dancing as usual. Let's bowl in here a little bit. Something may be about to happen there. Look at all these little earthquakes right here. It's not quite on the San Andreas fault, but it's pretty close to San Francisco and San Jose. Look at that. Yeah, two of them right there. That's the 4.2. So we got a 4.2 and we got an aftershock, which is a 2.7 in Raymond, California. This one is on the San Andreas almost. Pinos, California. X. Oh, not too far. Why does it have a diamond instead of a circle? 2.8 explosion. What? So there was an explosion that caused a 2.8 on Richter. What in the world was that? Does anybody know what that was, people? Does anybody watch the news? I have not seen that. Got one in Hays, Kansas. This part of Texas has always got New Mexico, Texas, right there between the two. Tons of stuff there all the time. And Alaska is really quick. Oh, look here, Kamchatka Peninsula, 5.0. That place has been active lately. This area in Japan has had a lot. That's probably just an aftershock right there. Indonesia's not as active as usual. It's kind of calmed down a little bit there in the Indonesia area. And something big to watch out, space weather, my friends. Geomagnetic storm watch. This sunspot here, 4366, is getting bigger. It's still growing. It's still throwing flares, and it's starting to point right at us. California had 35 earthquakes yesterday. If Cali slips into the ocean, you might have oceanfront property. Lordy, lordy. This place was a beach at one time. I got the sand dunes here. I got all the rounded rocks where the waves had washed them back and forth and rounded them all off. And in fact, it was the beach of the inland sea that used to cover the middle part of North America. So that sunspot is ginormous and it's growing fast. So it's very complex. So what we say here now is that let me hit the refresh. They might have changed this. I might have updated. Yeah, this could be a little bit behind, but they're claiming here that we've had 4 X-class flares, and the most powerful was that X-class. I saw an 8.1. Looks like they had 8.4. And then there's how many M-class flares? That number's gone up too. I don't see that listed here though. The number of N-class flares has gone way up. It was listed here earlier. They took it off. Why is that? But you can see that sunspot creep right there. It is ugly. Open up. 4366, a solar flare factory. 23 M-class flares as of whenever this was written. 23 M-class flares, 4 X-class flares. Now that was on the main page. It took it out. There it is. Well, guys, have your preps in order. That's all I got to say. In case our grid goes down. Well, the asteroids don't have anything that we know of that's threatening us right now. That's good news. So we do have some good news tonight. All right, I'm going to stop the share. And I'm going to read the chat a little better now. Go through it. And last December 2024, 29 Romanians caught, 4 were on the FBI's most wanted. Yikes. Well, let me go through the. So I got my old laptop over here. And it's probably going to be one I have to go to. It don't have as much power as this one, but this one gets hot too fast, and I've had a chip burn out in it already. The screen's messing up. It actually shuts down just arbitrarily, just turns off. We might go offline because of it. It's got issues. It's not well designed. It's got too much packed into too small a chassis, and it just overheats. It's got where it's burning itself up. Let's see if I can find the chat room. There it is. Here we are. So we got Nanny, Paula Neds. A huge hugs to you too, Paula. Yes, USAID, New York, and Maine have issues. Yeah, when the noondays will tell you that. Maine has Russia there. Real places for Mary Jane. Chinese are big into that. That's why a lot of these people that have been smuggled across the border from China are basically using a slave labor on some of those grow farms. And a lot of those are on federal lands. Those who believe idiocies will commit atrocities. That's true. Thank you there. Yeah, very true. So, hello, Nicholas and KP Heather. Tell her brown shirts just like, yeah, that's what it really is. It's brown shirts. They're accusing us, but they're the ones that are acting like the brown shirts. Isn't that interesting? Well, that's a psychological defense mechanism known as projection. Who was a psychologist that came up with that? Oh, shoot, somebody help me out here. I used to know who it was. I'm a bear watcher. Okay. Very high source of everything all at once. Yeah, that would not surprise me. Everything all at once. And because that's when they can pull the most stuff, when you're least prepared. Be aware of the mindset. Pete Chambers is running against Abbott. Okay. Now, who's Pete Chambers? What's he like, Stray Kitten? Is he running for the Democrat? Hope Democrat. Well, we better pray Texas don't flip blue. If it does, this country's going down the tubes. Been asleep since 9 p.m. Well, good for you. Yeah, I gotta tell you here in a minute. Some calling this a Hamilton move. Jamie Dimon dumping silver certificates. Yeah, the banks were responsible for the dip in metals. Absolutely. Yes, that's okay. That's what New Days just said. It's the Chinese. Chinese are growing it big time. A lot of those Chinese that come across the borders, they're using them for slave labor to do that. We got slavery here in this country. What do you think human trafficking is? And who is defending the perverts of human trafficking? Hmm? Who defends these people that do this stuff? Think about it. Yeah, New Days is very well connected. She's got a lot of intel. Yes, a lot of the blue governors are tied to the CCP. Parties and Russians in Maine. Definitely, most of these grow operations are Chinese. Hey, Tom. How you doing, Tom? There's a high rate of Chinese property ownership here in North Carolina. I-85, I-95, Highway 1. Yeah, and they got a lot of property around. Good old Fort Bragg, unfortunately. Uh, California Pope Air Force Base. Don't forget the X1. Yeah, we had an X81. I mentioned that over on Green Greg's. And my last live I did on there, which is last night or a day ago. And we had I saw something about X 8.4. Uh, it's the snake you don't see that will bite you. No rest, not good stealth. I don't know who Doc Chambers is. I don't know him. Doc Pete Chambers. I don't know him. All right, guys, it's getting late here. It's almost 2 a.m. I got to get up in a little bit because I got a day job. So I just wanted to bring this out, kind of paint this picture. There's a lot going on with Iran right now, a lot going on with China. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the egg guess. How many eggs did I harvest today? First guess gets it. Go. How many eggs did I harvest today? This page is kind of frozen up. I'm not seeing any guesses yet. I guess there's a delay. Must be a delay built in. 5 eggs, 6 eggs. Keep going. Keep going. Straight kidding. You're funny. 354. Keep going. Keep guessing. Keep guessing. Keep guessing. How many did I find today? Actually, I got one. I found one more than what I got in the box. So it's actually one more one I'm about to show you. I dropped the box. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. I wish it was 8. Keep going. Nobody got it yet. Sometimes somebody, the first person gets it right. Now keep going. Nobody got it yet. Hey, Tom Murray. All right, let's see some more guesses. Keep going. Oh, Tom Hardy got it. 3. Tom Hardy, you win. You won yourself a self-paid trip to Lost Wages if you choose to take it. Now, I got 3 eggs, but I dropped the carton and only got 2 right now. But I did get 3. I did find 3. But these are the 2 that survived me dropping this carton. How did I drop the carton? Well, I had an accident. I went out to check when they dug me out a pit for me to dump the remains of my burn barrels into. So I got a dump pit. And when he dug it, they found a lot of clay, a lot of pure clay. Now I understand why I got so much pottery around here. Let me show you something we found here just past couple of days. Look at this. Indian pottery. And I've thought it was interesting how so much of it is gray. Now there's some red pottery around here too. So most clay is kind of reddish, but there's this gray pottery that we're finding. Turns out this source of clay is like pure clay. There's veins of it, alternate veins. A vein like sand, red clay, and there's a vein of this gray clay. And then there'll be a sand of grayish blue. And then there'll be another layer of sand and red, and it just alternates sand, red clay, gray clay. And the guy that did the dig said, I haven't seen that. He's been digging all over around here for years. He said, this is the only place I've ever seen this. This must be why there's so much pottery around here. Pottery shards, as the Indians were probably making the pottery here and trading it off. So, isn't that interesting? So that's one thing I've been finding. I do find these little pinch pot, and they're usually the reddish clay and the reddish pottery. So we have gray. I have gray pottery, gray clay, and I got red clay. Now a lot of this is mixed up with the sand, so you have to work it to get that out. But to see, that's a reddish. That's the kind of clay I knew where I grew up was all red. So yeah, there's a lot of little pieces here that I found a few days ago. I can't show the bottom of this. I'm just spelling them out. I got a few pieces in here. You can see down at the bottom. But yeah, the Indians made pottery here. I mean, you can find it all over the place. Reg, I'm so happy to see you got your trenches dug. Oh yeah, I got them dug. But what I was doing is I was walking back from that, and 2 of the trenches they dug for worm beds, he dug them really close. It was just a little narrow dirt space between these big gaping holes. And I was trying to walk that, and there's one place where the dirt didn't look too good. Some of it slipped off, and the top wasn't looking too great, but I thought I could still negotiate it, and I went down. I fell in the pit, right at the edge of the pit. I fell hard. And my knee was still at the top and the rest of me was at the bottom, and that knee was hurting really bad. And I gotta say this, I dropped the eggs. I dropped the egg carton. One of the eggs broke, so I just threw it out for the birds to get. We got a lot of ravens out here, but I was surprised I didn't break all of them. So that was a good luck. I only broke one out of three. And the better luck was I didn't break me. It's a good thing I'm not an old man or I would have broke something. But boy, I was hurting for a little bit. I was in lots of pain. Petrified wood. Did I bring a piece in? A little piece here. We found a bigger piece today. This is a piece of petrified wood. I'll try to. I didn't bring it in. It's outside. But we'll get in. That is. Yeah, that's another piece of. I don't know. I think that's just a rock. It might be petrified wood. Yeah, I think it is. But sometimes you find it where it's crystallized and you find these colors. The biggest Indian artifact I have found is this quartzite hand axe. This is a quartzite. It's actually a hand axe. This is the way they would shape them when they make a hand axe. And it actually is shaped. So a quartzite hand axe. So, and I found another piece of quartzite out here a couple of days ago. Fair, not that big, but pretty good chunk. So I find granite here. I find quartzite. I find quartz. I find rose quartz, reddish. I find white quartz. There's little bitty pieces of, just glass-looking quartz, little bitty pieces. You could build hay bale structures with that clay. Well, that's an interesting idea. We started digging out for a root cellar too. So I'm gonna have a root cellar. I got a bunch of squash I need to put in the root cellar. It's either in the house or out there in my battery building. I'm afraid it's not going to last long like that. So, and this year I got to grow more. The big challenge next year is going to be finding good biological biomass to put in these big pits I'm digging. I mean, I'm going to need dump truck loads of it. The only thing we got around here really is pine wood chips. Biggest problem is going to be finding stuff from our worms. I know the Apaches sell to another worm grower up in Sholo, Apache Forest Floor, and that stuff is great for growing worms. It's great for using in the garden, but he's kind of expensive with his selling of it. And there's a certain Apache chief that supposedly controls. I got his phone number. He's a good friend of a friend, and I've called him 2 or 3 times, and he's not calling me back for some reason. Maybe I just called him the wrong time. I don't know. But I need to try to contact him so I can get some of that forest floor from the, White White River area. The Apaches have the White Mountain band of Apache Indians got a big reservation closer. So I got Apaches to my south and Navajos to my north, primarily. Then the Zuni is within inside the Navajo reservation. But mostly what I see around here, if I go up to Holbrook, I see a lot of Navajo. If I go down to Sholo, I see a lot of Apaches. Here in Snowflake, you see some of them. Most of them are probably Navajo. But this is Navajo County. I'm right next to Apache County, but there's Navajos in Apache County and Apaches in Navajo County. So I don't know how they come up with county names. But anyway, so it's there's both in each county. So kind of funny how the counties run long north and south, and they cover both reservations at each end, pretty much. So call me when you find the gold. I help you dig it. Yeah, the gold. Most of the gold being found in Arizona is south of here or west of here. There's not been any appreciable amounts found around here, but there's a lot of quartz around. So I don't know. Maybe I need to do some panning out in some of these old washes. But I wouldn't hold out too much hope for that. So, although there is a big marker of a big rock turned on one right on the northeast corner of my property, and somebody suggested that maybe what was his name? That the Spanish explorer that come through this area. Uh, Shoot, I know his name. I can't think of it right now. But anyway, some think maybe he set that. His troops might have set that up as a marker. Anyway, I doubt it. So I have wood, cardboard, hay. The problem with hay and compost around here nowadays, I can't use it. I cannot use any animal manure. See, and it used to be a great go-to for worms and everything else, but I got a big load of horse crap that's and just needs to disappear. Uh, and I asked the guys about before I bought it, says, is there any grays on it? So I don't think so. I don't know. And I get stuff like that from everybody around, but I took that stuff. And look, y'all may know I grew microgreens for years and years and years and years, and I could sprout microgreens on rock wool. I can sprout microgreens in the bottom of a pan with nothing in it on a paper towel. I did sprout some in this toxic. The soil here is very alkaline. They sprouted in the soil, but when I put them in that when I put radish seeds and other seeds in that horse manure, nothing would sprout. I tried beans. I tried corn. I tried a zillion different things. Nothing at all would sprout at all, including the radishes, which I could take the same seeds and put them in the dirt and they would sprout. That stuff is loaded with grazon. It's toxic. And I wish the heck nobody invented that stuff because it's spreading on pastures, it's getting in hay, and it comes back out the horse manure and it's toxic. Something that used to be a great go-to source for gardening, organic material is now wherever they got it, that's trashed. And what's more, if you think that, why is it that Roundup glyphosate is bad for humans? It destroys your gut biome. We're doing the same thing with our horses when you feed them that crap. Nobody should ever feed that kind of hay to their horses, to their cows. You're not doing them any good with it. You're going to cause long-term health problems and perhaps even multi-generational down the road infertility problems. That's something that's been suggested with glyphosate. So this is like just the flip side of it. It does the other job. It takes care of the other plants. So I think that this stuff is bad and nobody should use it anywhere. But they're spraying this crap everywhere just because it makes the hay that pretty. You don't have all these weeds in it. Yeah, well, you're gonna have some other problems. So it messes gardens up. I am really distraught that they use that stuff because I don't know what. That's why I got to go to the patch Indians to try to find something to use for my worm beds. I might can get some hardwood chips, so it's going to take them. Wood don't rot here in Arizona. I got juniper trees that have probably been dead for 100 years that are still standing. In Alabama, it would be gone in a year. There's stuff on the ground here. It just don't rot. It just flat don't rot. There is you'll find old cars here been sitting outside for 100 years. I mean, there's some. I know where there's a old, looks like a Model T type record truck. It's probably been there forever. In Alabama, it would be rust on the ground, nothing left of it, maybe an axle. Uh, so, uh, yeah, there's a lot more antiques out here because they last longer. Um, you'd think they'd ban it. No, the big companies are promoting it. They're just like they promote stuff for you to take that you ought not take. The big pharma type companies are this big ag too. And guess what? Monsanto, which is now Bayer, is in both worlds. And they're, so this is nasty stuff. And it really just, they're just messing up our whole ecosystem compared to what needs to be done. RFK has done so well. There's so much to be done, Stray Kid. And he's taken on some things, but there's some things, yeah, that are amiss on, and this is one of them. And that nobody's made a big stink about this yet. Well, it ought to be coming up. I'm forewarning you guys about it. Maybe try bringing in bacteria culture in your compost. Well, that's what I'm saying. This stuff kills bacteria, even. And that's what I'd worry about with the horses, destroying their gut biome. Horses, cows, whatever you're feeding this to. It can't be good for them. Can't be good for them. So I would really, it takes time for that stuff to break down. They say years, but I've been actually watering the horse manure pile every time I water the garden in hopes that that would accelerate the breakdown because you just don't get rainwater here. Stuff will last. It'll last forever. Anything will. Things don't rot or break down the same out here. So, uh, well, I've also tried to inoculate it with a few other things. So I will test it again next year and see what happens. But I don't know how old it was before I got it. But they say it takes about 3 years for that stuff to break down. Um, that's a shame. So you just got to. I would say before you buy any kind of manure product, just go sample it and put some radish seeds in it. See what they do. Radish will come up anywhere. Radish grows aggressively. Radish grows like a weed. Radish will choke out weeds. Radish wants to grow. So when a radish seed don't sprout, something is bad wrong. And I don't mean by a little bit, I mean bad wrong. Have you seen perma-pasture farm and permaculture consultant channels? No. Maybe I need to find that, but I need to find some local sources that where I can trust and know they don't have that stuff in it. You go on the local Facebook marketplace here. There's tons of people listening to this stuff, and I've tried some of that, and that's what was bad. So, and there's a hay store down the road a ways, and they'll go, "Oh, we don't have that stuff in our hay," but yeah, you look it up and they do. So, you gotta be very careful what you buy in that regard. And a lot of people aren't even aware of what's in it. So that stuff is very toxic. Um, it's really messing a lot of stuff up. I switched in Alabama. I used to use horse manure, and I switched to wood chips. But it takes forever for these wood chips to degrade, years and years. And that was in Alabama. Out here, I don't know. It's gonna be tough. I'm gonna fill the bottom of my worm beds up with pine chips. That's my plan right now. I'm trying to contact the right people to bring them out. I need dump truckloads of it, but to a certain depth. And then I'm going to try to mix it in with some other stuff. I'm going to try to build me a burn pit. I can burn pine and make biochar out of it. So that's what I'm probably going to try to do is make a bunch of biochar for my biochar might work in the worm bed. If it burns up the rosin, it's the rosin in the pines that's bad for the worms. But it might be something to try, but it's going to be tough. It'll be tough. That's basically like charcoal. So I will try to make some biochar for a good part of the put in a good part of the top of the worm bed garden beds, and I got some other things I'm gonna try. I'll mix in a little local soil. Um, you know, I need I got a permaculture consultant on YT. Okay, YouTube. I will definitely check that out, Stray Kitten. I'm copying that right now. And I am going to put it, I'm going to open another butter peanut butter sandwich cookie window here. I'm in the commercial. Oh, where is YouTube permaculture consultant? Yeah, I found it. I found what I need to find. I don't know if I can find it from them. I know about permaculture. What I need to find is a local source for manure, or not manure that don't have grazon in it. If I could find a local source at scale, I need lots of it. I mean, I have got massive beds I'm building out there. Massive, massive beds. I'm going to build a bunch of worm beds too. I need, I don't need a bucket or two. I need dump trucks, dump truckloads of this stuff. If somebody's got 12 goats, that isn't going to go far. I need something at scale because I am building a big garden here. So, yeah, is that another? Okay, let's pick that. Okay, Irma Pastures Farm. No hay, no grain. Okay. Is that the same guy? Looks like the same guy. Nope, maybe not. All right, so hard to tell. I will check with them, but guys, I need local source. Somebody's not going to drive a dump truck across the whole country at an affordable price. Cardboard free. I would need dump trucks of cardboard. There's nobody around here that's going to give me dump truck loads. I might get some, but I literally need about 10 dump truck loads of stuff to put in these beds. Seriously. I'm building major, large beds. You have to, you know how long it would take me to walk around and find individual cow patties that are probably a tenth of a mile apart, enough to fill up, probably 800 cubic yards of material. I would probably be 100 years old before I could knock that out. Those two channels are father and son. They've been detoxifying soil from Hurricane Helene. Okay, I'll check it out. Stray kitten. But I need, they're also in North Carolina when they get rain. In the Carolinas, when they get rain, that helps to break stuff down. Takes a lot of water. But yeah, I need so many cow patties. It's not funny. If I could find a cattle farm now, hey, the ones out here eating this stuff, yeah, that's going to be good manure if I can just get enough of it. But when they corral them, they're feeding them probably the graze on stuff. I don't know. I could find a cow farm that's got clean stuff, but I'd have to really look around. Magic mushrooms grow in cow patties. That's true. Yippee-yay, cow patty. Remember that song? It was after the man that killed her daddy. So I will check it out. I've pulled the channels up straight yet. I got to find, oh, it's 2 o'clock in the morning here. I got to find good sources. That's all there is to it. I got to find good sources. Okay, before we go, I'm going to check my emails if anybody found we do have two watchers, and one in particular who don't always chime in when she's in the room because she's working. So I'm going to check my emails, see if make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, someone sent me a donation here. Oh, we got one. We got a donation. Donation said, hey, Kim Landry's Kim Possible's in the house. Kim Possible gave us a $20 donation. Kim Possible, thank you. Appreciate it, Kim Possible. Thank you very much for the generous donation. Kim Possible, thank you, Kim. All righty. So yeah, check my email. I always try to do that when I got a live session going because Kim's working, so she can't chat, but she listens. So I appreciate that. I grew up on a dairy farm by the time I was 14. Made a lot of money selling shrooms. Oh, interesting. The permaculture consultant could be somebody who could consult. He's knowledgeable at various regions. I need to find somebody. Yeah, if he's taking care of that hurricane mess, then that means he's in the Carolinas. I need to find somebody around here that's actually got manure I can use. That's what I got to do. Somebody that's using, maybe they got their own hay, and maybe they're not spraying it. I'm gonna have to search for that. Hey, all the sun's in the house. There she is. Prayers for your garden needs. Thank you, all the sun. So, in any event, folks, I'm gonna have to run. Got to get up in a little bit. I hope I don't meet myself going to bed. It takes me about an hour to time I end the video, time I crawl in the sack. So I got some processing to do with the video and some other things. So I'm trying to put more of my political stuff over here on Swivelhead News. I'm still tempted to take all my news content over here and maybe return Green Greg's to gardening. I'm gonna have enough gardening activities pretty soon that I can do that. I've not had a whole lot going on because I'm in transition. I shut my farm down in Alabama and it caused everything went to heck in the handbasket. Uh, But over time, I will reestablish it gardening here. It'll be what I can do, pretty much just me. I've had a lot of trouble with the hard labor I had in Alabama, and so I know the scale things. And I'm raising worms again. I did get some new worm beds put in. So um, yeah, let's keep it a family channel here. Let's not use any wordy dirts, folks. Um, be careful what we say. Anyway, California, Carolina mountain folks evicted during a snowstorm. Lordy, Lordy. Does North Carolina have a Democrat mayor? Not mayor, governor, I meant to say. Doesn't North Carolina have a Democrat governor? I believe it does. So, yeah, we keep this a family channel. We don't say any wordy dirts. Try not to. I have to watch my own mouth. Mm. Yeah, we're trying to keep this a family friendly channel. That's the main thing. So, well, I don't think you had to time her out, but she knows now. So, Vern, what do you mean, Vern? We got Vern in the house. How you doing? It's funny. I got two computers running, and some will show messages for one of them shows messages for the other. That's odd. I've often noticed that my mods would delete a message before I even realized it was there because I don't know, the internet's just different in different places. Some people get stuff faster than others. Did I hear Arizona's governor's in hot water? Getting to be. There's allegations about $4 million. Maybe you missed. I mentioned earlier, $4 million that a year that went to a major donor that gave her $400,000 in campaign contribution, and what they're spending the money on has been audited and looks like it wasn't needed. Let's put it that way. There's some high strung allegations. I hope that Hobbs never gets reelected. There was some funny business about all that. I think Miss Lake should have been governor of Arizona. Just saying. Yeah, he's a Dem. Yeah, that's what I figure. That's what I figure. North Carolina leans Democratic, and anywhere you get that, you get mess like that. Yeah. Well, the mountain folk in North Carolina need a lot of respect. They're good people up there in the mountains. Are you down with hugel culture? Exactly. That's what's up with the wood chip. Yeah. And the reason I'm doing that, I'm not doing logs, I'm going to do chips. So to break down faster and everything rots real slowly out here. I'm pretty sure I can get chips, but I just got to fish around for them. I'm talking to a big lumber company. I'm trying to get the right guy on the phone. I'm told he's got all I'll need and deliver with the dump trucks. So I just haven't got him on the phone yet. I got the local, I got two local people that are connected to him. So I just got to make a couple more. You voted for Kerry? There you go. Well, I'm in the state to vote in the next election, so that's one more red vote. Red vote. We were purple, went red, all but the governor. Yeah. Look what happened to Virginia. Virginia's about to suffer mightily. What's hugelkultur? It's where you grow in rotting logs and wood. It's a German technique, but it's really productive because you get a lot of nutrients. The biggest thing you got to watch out for is them taking a lot of times these nutrients, wood decays, it robs nitrogen from the soil. So you got to be able to add nitrogen back. But I got a few chickens. Maybe I need to get some more to help with that. Chicken poop is definitely nitrogen rich. Just might get some more nitrogen, more chicken poop. So there's that. Um, oh, we've been on 83 minutes. I meant to keep this. I did the last live in about 30 minutes. I meant to keep this in short too. Um, but anyway, so we'll just have to see. Like I said, I'm thinking about. I've been advised by two channels that are a lot bigger than mine to keep news on green rigs. But Lord, I still get a lot of viewers who watch my worm video and then they come over and sell that new stuff, and it confuses the algorithms on YouTube. So I don't know. If I don't turn green Greg's into a gardening channel, I may open a whole new channel for gardening. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to open up because if you go to my Green Greg's channel, I got so much news content you can't hardly find unless you know to look at playlists, and some people don't do that. But you can find my microgreens videos, you can find my gardening videos and playlists, but most people don't go there. They just see all this news content and they get lost. I got worm videos. So yeah, that would be the advantage of starting a new channel. I want to start one just for prepping or grid down topics and just do pure grid down topics on the channel. I'm planning to do that. That I'm planning to do. Um, there'll be no news, no politics, just discussion about the risk of grid down and what to do about it. Grid down and prep related stuff in general. Grid down, war, survival. I got some good videos on those channels. I don't get a lot of views. Um, in any event, folks, we're gonna call it a night here. I'm getting kind of tired, and I got to get up really early, and it's getting almost time for me to get up. So yeah, hugelkultur. So I want to do some videos. Check out mimosa trees. I don't have any of those right here. What I got around here, what grows right around me is just juniper. But you go a few miles south of me, and they've got ponderosa pines and pinyon pines. A few little hardwoods scattered here and there. Uh, that's about it. I had worms 24 years ago. Son messed up the business. Might do it again. Hey, Paula. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna do worms. I might do some limited sales where I ship stuff, but I'm not going to get as big with it as I did before, unless I can find some extremely reliable labor. I'll keep it downsized where I can handle it myself. Um, it might be I just sell only the smaller quantities, or I might set up an affiliate relationship with a friend of mine that's got a worm farm in Georgia. Could always do that too, especially for bigger orders. But I got to keep it small. Um, and I sold my trommel. I sold my peat press, which I packed. I didn't use peat in the beds, but I used peat moss to. That's something I could use in the beds. I can't find anything else here. If I can't get that Apache stuff or find a really good source of horse manure or animal manure here, any animal manure would be fine. Uh, if I can get hardwood now for the worms, I can't use pine, and pine is the dominant wood chips around here. I do know one guy who may have it separated. I might be able to get just hardwood from him. There's not a lot of hardwoods around here. Great videos here. Donate. Yeah, thank you, New Days. Uh, you might need to check that link because I had my page transitioned by let me check. Let me click on here so what it takes me to. Had my page GoDaddy transitioned my page and somehow they messed it up. Okay, yeah, that takes you to the right place. Good. Very good. Yeah, you scroll down the bottom and find the button for donating. Cool. I don't see the donate button. I don't see any of the buttons there. Uh-oh. That page isn't the one that's working well. Yeah, they messed this thing up bad. There is a page, but that one ain't getting us our New Days. I know it's still working because let me go back. I don't know why that don't work. Yeah, and dadgummit, the buttons are not there. You go to greenrigs.com and see what it comes to from there. Kim Possible found it. So I know there's a button out there somewhere. So let me go this one, buy worms. What's it take me? Ah, this one has the buttons. Yeah, I see what they did. I'm gonna have to call GoDaddy. All right, I'm gonna share the link you got to use. Oh, yeah, we got to use this link until I get it straightened out. GoDaddy messed me up. All right, where's our page at? Where is the? All right, I got lost here. Where is my? There it is. There's the chat room. Here we go. Hey, Kim Possible's in the house. Good to see you, Kim Possible. Yeah, that's the one you got to go to now. Click on buy worms, then scroll down the bottom of the. Yeah, there's something changed about the page. Use that link right there. I just put in. That's odd. But yeah, it's working for you, Kim Possible. When I used the link as New Day's put in here, it took me to a page that the buttons weren't on. Yeah, I don't know. GoDaddy did something funky. It ain't working right. So I'm about to contact them, see what's happening. Maybe a scoop of brewery for some compost starters. Uh, this is Mormon country. There's no breweries around here. There's no breweries. There's not much of anything. I'm way out in the middle of nowhere. Even the restaurants are scant around here. So I'm a year older in 6 days. You'll be a year older in 6 days. Well, happy birthday. Happy birthday. We'll see if anybody else has thrown a donation in. Right now, Kim Possible is the only one we got so far. But Kim, thank you very much. So we're going to call it a night here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look to find some good organic material. Yeah, brewery stuff would be great. Actually, the brewery stuff left over from breweries is actually good worm food. It's more than just a bed, and that's worm food. Uh, yeah. Hey, Fazioli, how you doing? Yeah, we're about to call it a night here. So I want to thank everybody for watching, and I want to thank you, mods, for keeping the room straight, keeping it clean. Thank you, Kim Possible, for the generous donation. And I just want to thank everybody for watching. Just do share my videos, please. And click like. I saw a YouTuber who told people when to click the like button that was paying the bills. But anyway, I appreciate that, folks. Hit the like button. We need some more likes. We got only 42 people in the house right now. Let me do a refresh. See how many likes we got. 31 likes. All right, that means some of the people watching hadn't given me a like. So, coffee shop for Worm Bed Caffeinator. There is a coffee shop here. I do know that I used to go there a lot, but I do know that they do have a guy that goes by and picks up their stuff, their coffee grounds. So I got to see if I can get in on that. I'm gonna have to find some places I can get in and get stuff. But you got to let that stuff. You can't just throw it straight in the worm bed. You might can put some on top to feed them, but you got to be careful with it because it will. It's got to go through the heat phase. Coffee grounds can get real hot. I used to have a big pile of them, and they were steaming. They get so hot when they go through the heat phase. Uh, anyway, have a great day. There you go. Ran to take a break at the right time. Well, good to see you got a break. All righty. So once again, thank you, Kim Possible, for the wonderful donation. Thank you, mods, for keeping the channel clean, and thank you everyone for watching. And to one and all, A good night, good day, wherever you are, and an honor